Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And we are here on this Friday episode to review a board game. Because that's what we do on the Friday episodes.
Unless we don't.
When we review on Friday episodes.
Yeah.
Which we don't always do on Friday episodes.
You're right.
No?
These are all true statements.
Got him.
Sure.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Anyhow, this week on our Friday review episode, we are going to be reviewing Crusaders, Thy Will Be Done. It is a 2018 release from designer Seth Jaffe. Artist is Adam P. McIver. Published by Tasty Minstrel Games. It plays 2 to 4 players and takes 40 to 60 minutes. Zach, do you have a rules rundown for us?
Yes, I do. In Crusaders, you are trying to increase your order's influence in Europe during the Crusade. On your turn, you can activate a wedge on your action wheel or upgrade a wedge. When activating, you can move your knights, muster additional forces, battle enemies, gain influence, and build buildings. Upgrading wedges lets you do multiple actions with one activation. Your power in an action depends on how many tokens are allocated, plus any visible symbols on your player mat. After a certain amount of influence has run out, you finish out the round, and then whoever has the most influence wins.
Yeah, pretty straightforward gameplay on this one. So let's jump in here to some initial thoughts. Jeff,
Well, even before that, I just wanted to say that we did get this as a review copy.
Oh, yes.
So I feel like right off the board, make sure to say that.
Yes. I was going to basically lead into that with Jeff's thing, but yes. Review copy disclosure right here, right now.
Regular edition.
Tasty Minstrel sent us a regular base retail version of Crusaders for us to review.
Yep.
They're one of the game companies that sends us stuff fairly regularly.
And we never know we're getting it. I put in a request and I get a shipping notification. They're not like, okay, it just sort of gets here.
Yeah.
I don't know if they care. They just send it to us.
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah.
For all they know, we might not be reviewing a damn thing.
Yeah.
Joke's on them, we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aha. Suckers.
Got them.
Anyway, I was going to say, for moving over into initial thoughts, Jeff, let's start with you. You did the initial email correspondence with Tasty Minstrel that I'm pretty sure consists of them sending out a mass email to their list of reviewers and being like, hey, who wants to review this? And you said, we do. And
Yes.
then we got the game. And take it away from there. What were your initial thoughts?
I distinctly remember the Kickstarter. It was another deluxeified version.
Yep, we definitely talked about it.
And I remember there was some controversy around like the Crusades being a thing. And then it was just sort of like, oh yeah, that game looks interesting. I did a little research on BGG. It was actually fairly well regarded already. And I was like, yeah, let's do that. It's not, in the tens of thousands in ranking.
Yeah.
We could actually have some fun with this game. Moncala looked interesting, and the components looked solid, even if it wasn't the deluxeified version. I was looking forward to giving it a shot.
Right on. Zach, what about yourself?
Basically the same thing. I remember us doing the Kickstarter, and I was like, oh, that looked interesting enough, but I definitely didn't have the money for it at that time. And for a lot of TMG, like after Yokohama, it's always been like, well, if I want this game, I need to get it in Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And I decided against it, and so I just sort of put it out, put it in the back of my mind until we got that email, and then it was like, okay, yeah, let's try it. And so I was looking forward to it.
Cool. For myself, for whatever reason, when we covered the Kickstarter, it didn't really catch me. Nothing about it seemed that interesting from a gameplay perspective, and so I'd pretty much dismissed it and forgotten all about it until we got the email. And Jeff was like, sure, we'll get it. And I was like, all right, I guess we are getting it and I'll play it. So I went into it very, very meh, like very neutral. I didn't have positive or negative expectations. I was just like, sure, we'll check it out. So it's kind of where I came at it from.
And I did want to say that Seth Jaffe does talk about the theme in the rule books. Basically, he does a note on it. This, saying like, hey, the Crusades in general sucked.
Yeah, bad stuff.
But this isn't a game like this is set in the backdrop of the Crusades more than it's more about just the increase of the influence of these, these night orders I mean,
there's still a lot of, raiding people.
yes, but it's in Europe versus
You're raiding Europeans.
Yeah.
Yeah, except Saracens are like vaguely Islamic groups
yeah.
traditionally. Like,
Well, and then it's also been super abstracted out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And the Kickstarter.
And I just want to say he already says that it's not supposed to be like historically accurate.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
The Kickstarter was from July 2017 as well.
Little while back.
jeez, that's
Yeah.
longer than I remembered.
Same. Cool. But that wraps up our initial thoughts, so we can move on over into components. Again, this is a review copy of the retail edition, so we don't have all the fancy deluxeified bits. This is the version you can go get ostensibly online or at your FLGS, as they should be becoming more and more available. Components are pretty good, though, I think. Good wooden bits for your buildings and your knights that you use to move around the board. The board's well laid out. It's double-sided. There's 3 and 4 players on one side and 2 players on the other side.
Yeah, which is just less spaces because that would be ridiculous if you just
Yeah.
you would never see the other person.
No.
It also does scale down the option for starting spaces.
Yes.
Because that way there's not like really good spots that nobody's taking that somebody can just like swoop in and take.
Yeah.
Was meant to be like a starting spot. I mean, it's a tasty minstrel game. Like, even their standard retail versions are really good component quality, thick cardboard punch outs, good art.
Yeah, I was setting myself up to be a little disappointed because it wasn't deluxeified. But I mean, the components, like you said, are very well done, especially like the player boards. All the art matches together.
Yeah, really well.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing we're missing from there is like a double-sided or dual layer
Yeah.
board, which
Player boards.
Obviously those are nice, but I didn't feel the missing of it.
No, this isn't a game where bumping your board is going to ruin
No.
what you're doing.
Yeah, this isn't Terraforming Mars. The mat is fine on its own.
It's not Terraform
I mean,
Mars. It's not Eclipse.
If you dump the Montcala Rondell area, that would hurt. But you can do that with the double layered ones, so that's not a knock against it.
Yeah, and even then, it's only 6 spaces. Like, you really don't remember. You weren't thinking ahead enough to know that, like, roughly where your pieces were. Like,
I mean, I'll go ahead and tell you that, yes, I'm thinking ahead, but it's like, oh, the pieces I'm going to use to do this and this. But, like, if you're like, Zach, how many pieces were on that? I'm like, I don't know.
The amount that I needed to do that thing I wanted to do.
Yep.
what was the thing? Oh, you wanted to fight. You needed 6.
Yeah, but I don't remember what I was focusing on that one. So yeah. I'm just saying, I understand people that are like, oh, I knocked the board off. I don't remember. I wasn't paying it. Like, I will look at it, and then as soon as I'm gone, it's very much like the silence in Doctor Who. You know they exist when you look at them. You look away, and you're like, I don't remember any of that shit.
But that is something that never came up anyway.
Yes,
no.
So
exactly.
I mean, as we're talking about deluxeified stuff, it was really just metal and a lot of spot UV highlights.
Yep.
Boy, do they like those.
Yes.
And then
Minis.
well, yeah, it's either plastic, like 3D models
For the buildings and the
or
knights.
screen printed wooden ones.
Yeah.
But you didn't. Like the wood by itself is good. It's different. Each of them look different, so you're not going to get those confused.
They're screen printed, which is nice.
All the enemy discs.
No, they're not screen printed in the retail. Never mind.
No. All the enemy discs are wooden with stickers instead of just the cardboard punch outs.
But
Which means you got a sticker. Unless they come stickered.
I don't
Maybe
know.
they come stickered.
Yeah.
But I mean, those are like cardboard worked for those.
Yeah.
So
And it
fine.
comes with a drawstring bag to better randomly distribute the little bits
That
and
would
stuff.
be nice.
But
even then, like, because I've thought about doing that, but like the one, you need to not know what's on the bottom. So like I hate drawing
a Saracen
tiles
one
from a bag where, like, and this is not just for this game, but any game where you draw tiles from a bag to distribute them randomly, but you need to not see the bottom of the tile because it's like reaching in there and it's like trying to guess, like, do I have the top showing? Pull it out, like, oh, nope, goes back in the bag. Okay, I got that one fine.
See, you just do what I said previously. I saw it, and then as soon as it's down, I just forget what it was. What it was.
You looked away.
Yeah, I looked away.
Yeah, I don't have that ability.
Well,
it's not in me.
That sounds bad for you.
The metal influence tokens would be kind of cool. Like they're like diamond shaped. Like the cardboard bits work fine, But the deluxeified ones look.
I mean,
pretty sweet.
They look good, but also
Totally unnecessary.
if I had this game and be like, would you want to pay $10-$15 for metal versions of these?
It was $50 for the regular and $69 for the deluxeified.
I'd be like, meh.
Yeah. I mean, I think the best thing about the Deluxeified is the player boards.
Yes,
the recessed player boards.
Yeah.
If anyone is looking to get the Deluxeified version aftermarket at this point, I wouldn't bother.
Yes.
It's all going to be crazy expensive.
Yep.
And the only thing really worth it is the player board.
Which are fine on their own.
And I wouldn't even use the plastic minis. I would probably still use the screen printed wooden ones.
I think like we were saying, the player board art and how it all flows well together for your character.
Yeah.
And the different muster pieces. Although one of our purple muster pieces is a different color, which is weird. But it's like
Barely.
purple, but like a bluish purple.
It's just barely different.
But it's noticeable enough to be like, I wonder what happened there.
Yeah.
Just because it was both sides.
Some weird ink issue.
Yeah.
I assume. But yeah,
I mean,
Everything fits nice.
yeah, the action tokens are just hexes, but they don't really need to be anything fancy because you're moving them around a lot. If they were like little knights you were moving around or whatever, like those, if they tried to deluxify those too much,
it could cause problems.
It could have caused problems. So
I do like that they're like the taller hexagon pieces,
Yeah.
like resources and like say
Power Grid?
Keystone, Power Grid.
The trash things from Power Grid remind me most of
yes,
Because like if they were like little discs, it'd be harder to pick them up as a group and just move them. Like I like that they're it's easy to grab like a group of 5 or 6 of them and just bloop 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 moncala them around your board.
At first, the barns and then the government buildings were a little too similar for me to really get, but once I kind of got it,
I mean, once
I want to dismiss that, but I've seen enough other people set up their board and be confused. It's clearly a thing.
Once you point out to someone, this is different than this, it registers.
Yeah.
But I can understand, like, you look at it, like, you're just sort of, meh, whatever. But then as soon as you, like, hey, this one is, like, slightly rounded and one is just more of a point, then you're like, okay, got it.
But they both have, like, a roof kind of look to the top, which, the screen print would definitely make that much easier to see.
Yeah. But
Church,
it's not,
no problem.
Church, no problem.
Castle,
no problem.
Yeah. We always love how things fit nice.
Yep.
And this is a game that does that.
Yeah.
The board's good, functional.
Yes.
Art's nice on there.
All of the little, variability things you add for the different discounts and bonus rewards for building things.
All have a nice place on the board.
Yep.
Don't jostle the board, though. If the board gets fucked, don't let any cats near this game. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's true. Like most board games.
Yeah, that's no different than most any other game, I guess.
Yeah. Especially don't let them near, like, Rhino Hero.
Yeah, well, clearly.
Yes. Or small children.
Yes. In general.
Don't let anyone near Rhino Hero. No, I like Rhino Hero.
I think that's it for components.
Yeah.
I guess there's a little score, like quick player sheet thing that lets you know how to score your influence and stuff like that.
It's handy to show to a new player, but it's largely unnecessary.
Because the player board also tells you all of that same info.
Yeah. And then also just the enemies, it's 3 different colors, 3 different symbols. So that's, it's always good when they have those.
Yeah.
So
cool. Let's move over to some rules and rules explanation then.
Super easy to teach.
Yep.
I never even looked at the rulebook for this game.
Yeah.
Jeff was barely paying attention, like when I was trying to teach him. Like I'd played a couple times, Zach, you'd played, and we were teaching him at that Game Lounge meetup. And like I would say something and look over, and Jeff would clearly be like looking somewhere else, and be like, "Jeff, this is what I just said," and like repeat myself. Like, and even with that little bit of distraction of me having to do that, when we sat down and like actually started playing, like boom, Jeff was right in there. Like, was there anything, Jeff, that threw you? Did you remember anything like when you were playing where it was like, I don't think that was explained. The closest thing I can think of is I did forget to circle back around to upgrading, but we did that like really quick.
Yeah.
Like the first time I upgraded, you're like, wait, what did you just do? And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot to circle back around, upgrading. But it was like 2 turns in because I was playing a weird fucking faction that meant that I was upgrading like every other turn.
Yeah.
So I could just do anything.
It was just like the explanation of how you exactly scored the influence.
Yeah.
But after that was clarified,
No,
wasn't
it's
an
yeah.
issue after that. Basically, if there's a yellow banner and it's got a number on it, when
That's
you
how many
do
points.
whatever it is, you just get that much.
Yeah. And then scoring for enemies is super simple. It's just whatever their strength is, and then it just raises. And then then there's the one, the Saracens, which are always 6, and then it's you can get a bonus or you can just take points. So
The bonus is almost always better.
Unless it's near end game and it's like 1 point versus 3 points.
Even then, like, because I guess if you neglected an entire row of buildings and you drew that building, so that building would only be worth 1.
Yep.
I guess very end game. But if you're really thinking 2 points is going to matter end game, you're probably not in a good place anyway. I don't know. I feel like it's always better.
No, I would say especially if it's near I had neglect when whatever. Basically, I had neglected all of the barns when I was playing with Jeff, and I was able to get all of my muster. So I was like, I don't need these barns. I'm going to get 1 point or 3 points. So just get 3 points. It depends, but that's always how gameplay works.
Right.
But I think it's just teaching them what each of the action does on the Mancala and how a Mancala works, and then you're good to go, really.
So you just pick up everything there, and then you just plop them down on all the future things.
Which that's one thing that I really like. Like, a Mancala is an easy one. It's one of those that it's an old enough mechanism. Like, Mancala itself is a game that has existed for hundreds if not thousands of years. I'm sure maybe Kaiser... Well, Kaiser seems so specified to Roman stuff. He might not know how old Mancala is.
What are you saying? The Romans didn't play Mancala?
I'm sure they did. But I think the Mancala might have predated the Romans even.
Possibly.
But it's an old game, and so like a lot of people are familiar. Like, I have a copy of Mancala sitting on my shelf. And thankfully a lot of people do and are familiar with that, even who aren't regular gamers. So that's an easy mechanism to teach.
Looks like it dates back to the 7th century.
Oh, thousands of years.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Evidence suggests the game existed in ancient Egypt too. So
thousands is a good term for it.
Yeah. So it's very old.
Yep.
And so people are familiar with it who aren't even necessarily familiar with modern board game mechanisms.
Yeah.
And so it's an easy thing to teach. It's like, you decide to do this action. How many pieces do you have on it? It's 5. Okay, you're doing that action with a strength of 5. It's build. You can build up to 5. And then when you're done, take those 5 and start placing them around.
Yeah.
And that's where all of the
player powers,
variable player powers come in.
Which thankfully none of them are too crazy. It's like
and some of them are a little too similar.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's it's just like, oh, you can skip a space, or you can double up on a space, or you can start on your same space,
or you can get plus move and less tokens, or minus move and more tokens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all of them are very similar overall in that regard.
Except that one you played.
Except the one and there is the one that I think it's roughly a neutral amount of tokens. So roughly the baseline number of tokens is 12. You're going to have 12 action tokens, 2 per space. There's one that lets you Mancala in either direction. When you pick it up, you choose which direction you want to go. And that one I think has roughly 12 tokens starting. And then there's the really bizarre one I played where you only get 6 tokens, 1 per space, but you have a +1 in every space you take an action in. Like, you have +1 to everything, to all of your actions.
The 5 different actions.
And that one was interesting. It was a weird balance. I thought I was getting housed, and I came in second, so...
The usual.
Yeah. I didn't start complaining. I did start to check out. There was a brief moment where I was like, man, I am so fucked. I just don't even care. And then I still came in second.
Yeah.
But,
yep. You pulled an Adrian as far as you could. You weren't gonna catch me.
No, but you were crushing that game. And really, I think the thing that saved me is it was like Jeff's first play and Ben's second play. And even Ben was struggling a little bit. He took a different power and was struggling a bit. So really, I got second because there were 2 people who weren't quite sure what to do. I'm sure if we tried that exact same player count again, with those exact same powers again, I would actually get housed. I don't think that power is a very good one. It's strong early, and I thought it would be stronger mid and late in different ways, and it really wasn't.
I mean, I think it's something you have to figure out.
Which is why
yeah.
it's an advanced variant.
Exactly.
Like if you played a bunch, you could probably figure out a good way to use it. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, when it was Jeff's first time, the first thing I did is I looked at his two things. I'm like, all right, I got to make sure you don't have this one in here
Yeah.
because you're not doing that one.
it's one of the few times that a game says this is for advanced players that I actually agree that
Yes.
it's only do not give that to a beginner.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, the rules are all really straightforward. Everything's really well laid out on the board and easy to explain. I don't think there's a lot there to touch on anymore.
Movement a little bit. It's you get to move into spaces just fine, but if you move out of, it's 2.
And I do wish there was something somewhere on the move tile on anywhere that
Yeah.
wasn't just in the rulebook that explained that, because that is something that isn't explained anywhere else. So if you don't do a good job of touching on that during the rule explanation, people will miss it.
Yes.
Let's jump over to gameplay. What we didn't cover in rules, I'm sure we'll cover in gameplay, since those two are so interconnected.
Or the gameplay things we talked about in rules we'll bring up again.
Yeah,
in
of
gameplay.
course. All right. Well, that moves us over into gameplay then. We can talk about some gameplay. So, there was already something that I was like, I'm not going to talk about this in rules. I'm going to talk about it in gameplay.
You fool.
And I forgot it.
So there's variable starting spots.
Yeah.
But those are printed on the board for what
Yeah.
bonuses they have. Those
Yeah.
don't vary. It's just where they are.
Yeah. So on the one side of the board for 3 and 4 players, there's 4 spots. So
In
in a
France.
3-player game, yeah, they're roughly in France, Western Europe.
Yeah, they're all France.
They are definitely all. No, they're definitely all France.
Yes.
But so in a 3-player game, one of them will be available for somebody to sneak into and claim. When you flip it over to the 2-player side, they do narrow it down to just 2 places. You pick your starting spot in reverse player order, so whoever's first player gets last choice of spots, which matters most, I think, in a 4-player game. I haven't played 2 players. You guys did play
Yes.
a 2-player game. Did you feel like what the?
It's super quick. That's for one.
Yeah, 30
Okay.
minutes,
Oh,
if
wow.
that.
Yeah. Especially because baseline, one thing I really like about this game is that your turn goes by super quick because
Some stuff you don't even have to interact with the board or
Yeah.
do anything. It's to be like, I'm doing influence, you just grab influence and your turn's over.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or I'm fighting. I have the amount I need. I've finished fighting.
Yeah.
I'm building something. Here's the cost.
I've
It's just-
mustered, I flipped over
Yeah,
that flag.
exactly. And so because of that, you can move super quick. And so in 2-player, it was very much like I do this, Jeff, go.
Yep.
And Jeff would be like, I do that. All right, back to me, go. And yeah.
It's like speed
Yeah.
Crusaders.
Yeah, and because or you're trying to plan out, as someone who like this, Moncala really encourages that sort of trying to build up what your turns are going to be.
Yes.
Because you're like, I need to get this, so this needs to move over here to let me do that. And so how can I get the building of level 4 is I need to travel, and then but I also need a crusade and all that stuff. And so
All these are in the wrong space. I'm going to upgrade.
yes, exactly. Yeah.
Distribute them.
Yeah, that is. I think that's something I really do like about the game is that you get to, like, you have like 7 things in muster, and you're like, but I don't need to muster anymore. And you're like, all right, well, I could just waste a turn, or I'll upgrade, and that lets me move all that shit around like I need to.
And that's where although all the player specific abilities are very similar,
Yeah.
some of them feel very powerful, like the ability to skip a space.
Yes.
Means once you stop needing to muster, you just always skip the muster space.
Yeah.
And you'll almost never end up with a piece there, and it's great. And it really feels like that gives you a cool ability
Yes.
that you can do.
And then also one thing we didn't even mention for the setup, which I thought was cool. So when you're building your action wheel, you have one person randomly set it up, and then everyone just copies it. So everyone is, it is a randomized startup each time, but everybody has that same one.
Yeah.
Which apparently there's a variant where you could just be like, everyone just randomly sets it up. Some people are gonna get better have better setups than you, so be prepared for that.
I kind of wanted to save it for gameplay because I wanted to. I
Are we
wanted
in
to save
gameplay?
it. We're in gameplay.
Yeah.
That was the
Yeah.
thing he forgot.
Okay.
Huh?
You said you forgot something.
No, this isn't what I forgot.
Okay.
I still haven't remembered that. I will at some point.
Okay.
No.
So the way you said, I wanted to save it for gameplay, I was like, but we're in gameplay.
Right, no,
Yeah.
but this is something like, because you said we didn't talk about this earlier, and
No.
I was saying I wanted to save it for gameplay.
Okay.
I was going to talk about it towards the end
Yeah.
and like variables for gameplay, because they talk, there's a bunch of different variants in the rule book for like, who gets to be the person to choose. Like there's one variant where one person gets to pick. You don't even do it randomly.
Yeah.
Like they pick what order it is and then everybody else does that order. Or everybody has their own random order. And so you're all playing with slightly different Moncalas. Or rondels, I guess.
Yeah.
The rondel is the action
Yes,
selection.
yes, that is correct.
The Moncala is the actions of moving the discs around. But so everybody either has the same rondel or they have different rondels. You
Yes, that is correct.
randomly do a rondel or you intelligently do a rondel. I think there was like one variant that I was reading about on BGG or somewhere where like you in turn order, like you do like a Chwazi for turn order or something, and one person picks the first one and everybody puts that first one. Then the next person picks what goes after that. And then the next person after that picks the third one. So you like collaboratively sort of build.
I mean, I
them.
think those are the only way you're going to not have two travels next to each other.
Dude.
All three of my games, or all the games I've played of it, have had.
Our very first game didn't.
Really?
It was going to, because it was one of
that's
those, because we all built ours randomly, and all of them but mine had them next to, and we were like, shit. We read in the rules like, oh, one person does it and it matches. So we did Chwazi to see whose we'd match, and it was mine, which was the only one that didn't have travels adjacent. They were exact opposites, which is the best way to have travels. Adjacent travels suck.
We did screw up a rule.
What?
Saracens are supposed to be face up.
Oh, well.
Yeah, you're always supposed to know what those are from setup.
Well, now we know.
Well,
Yep.
there you go. That completely takes away that earlier complaint I had about the drawback and drawing, because, I drew and I know what it is. Well, congrats, you know what it is.
We were
Yes.
just playing a randomized variant.
Yeah. Yeah, so that could make those pieces
Yeah,
more
well, because it would
valuable
make
and-
it would aid in the strategic decision making of going for them. Like if you were doing what Zach had said towards the end of the game, where like we were debating about whether it's worth it to take the ability or take the 3 points.
Yes.
You would just know, like, if I go there and fight that Saracen, I'm only going to get 3 points for my 6 value, whereas maybe I could use that better to go fight the Slavs
And
or
get
whatever the other
8
one is,
points
and get
or
yeah
whatever.
Prussians.
Yeah. So yeah, we did screw that up.
But that's fine.
There's
That's
always one.
Yeah.
There's always one rule we mess
Well,
up.
it's because it didn't feel wrong.
No,
like-
it
No.
really didn't.
But I was looking at like components and stuff as we've been chit-chatting about the game and various players' boards, and I was like, they have all these face up, and then I pulled up the rules. Yeah, they're all supposed to be face up.
Okay.
Well, once again, playing a lot of games, it's like, information on it? Well, obviously it has to be down.
Yes. They even printed it on the other side.
Yeah.
I guess that's for the set collection.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's also one thing, speaking of like the buildings with that, I do like how they handle the buildings in this, is that each one of them, gets you more powerful abilities.
Yes,
And
they
that-
all have bonuses most of them have bonuses underneath.
All of
them.
All of the buildings you build off your board will unlock
Something.
Something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whether it's like
A knight.
or a travel, because it's when you're comparing your strength to something, it's you have to have the amount of action tokens plus any of
That
visible
symbol
symbols.
showing.
So
And that's why the muster is useful. It's just
Exactly.
extra power.
yeah, it's extra power. But it's nice how you can be like, oh, I can do a build. Like I want to build the buildings. I don't know what they're called.
Those would be I don't know, the
banks?
civics.
Civics? Okay, yeah, civics sounds right. But you can build the civics, and it helps you build other buildings later. Or you can be like, well, I want to get the castles out to get more knights and better travel. I want to get the farms out to do more mustering, or I want to get the churches out to do more influence. And then if you build up to the 4th tier on them, it gives you special endgame bonuses to focus on. So it's like if you get to level 4 of the civics, you're going to want to be building buildings.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, you get 4 points for every level 4 building you have. Whereas if you get all the castles out, it's like, hey, you get 4 points for every set of enemies you have. So obviously, when you have a lot of knights, you want to go fight. For the influence one, it's just you get 6 influence because that's what the churches give you. And then
Yeah.
I don't remember. Oh, and then the farm is for every knight and
Troop
you have.
muster.
So
I guess.
obviously, if you're doing that, you're gonna have a lot of troops.
Yep.
So it's good that the end game bonuses complement the strategy you're
They are banks.
Banks. Okay,
Yep.
they are banks. I thought so.
Banks, farms, churches, and castles.
Gotcha. They're funding the buildings.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will say this though, playing it to 2 players and playing it to 4 players, I definitely missed having more players.
Yes.
Because there was only one time when Jeff and I were playing
Yeah.
where we actually interacted with each other.
Yep.
And it was
I killed the thing, and then later he came and built the thing.
yeah. But every other
really
thing was like, I mean, even at 2 players with the reduced amount of spaces, there's still a lot of space, a lot of real estate for 2 players that we were mostly just like, we're going to go do our own thing.
And in 4-player, you're trying to be like, I need to build something, and I don't have anywhere I can build it.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go to Spain.
Yeah. No, so anytime someone anytime I killed something in 4-player and I wasn't able to build that term, I was like, is anybody gonna fuck with me if I do it? Like, you're just sort of looking at the edge of the board. You're like, where the fuck are you fucking coming over here? Are you coming over here? This is my spot.
You're sitting there. You're like shit. I don't have crusade build
Exactly.
So I crusade. Who has move build?
Yes.
Because they're gonna swoop in.
Yeah.
And take this shit from me.
Which would be very hard to do, I think, if you were doing the variant where everybody had their own rondel, because then you wouldn't know what shit was anywhere. Because when everyone has the same one, you're like, oh, it looks like they have a lot on that travel. Is that that's a travel build? So you can compare it with your own. But if you're like, Jeff has a lot of tokens over there, sort of covering what he's doing, I don't like that.
Which makes you almost want to play that way.
I know, right?
Like, Jeff, I don't like what you're doing over there. You got a lot of tokens, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Suck it, noob.
But yeah, you definitely spread out on the I believe the last time we played 4-player, almost all the spaces had something on it.
Yes.
Where when we even with 2-player, maybe more than half.
Yeah.
It was like, even with the less spaces, you really notice you just have a lot more room there. So, and you can't because there are less people fighting enemies. It's more easy. It's easier to determine if the Slavs or the Prussians are going to go up in strength or not.
Yeah.
Because you can plan to fight something in 4-player. It's like, all right, I have strength 5. I'm going to go fight this level 4 on my next turn. I'm right on it, and then I'll attack. And then Adrian attacks one. Yeah, now it's 7, and you're like, you motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Because that gives you another way to mess with people while also helping yourself.
Yep. And in 2-player, it's like there's no such thing as attacking more than once.
Yeah, exactly.
Real quick, do you guys vaguely remember what your 2-player scores were?
Yes.
95.
And 134.
Well, what?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. You also score more with that because you're people aren't getting in your way. So you're just sort of doing your own thing.
So I didn't play 2-player.
It's like 100. Well, how many victory points was it between 2-player? 180?
It was 160.
160.
So it's 260 in a 4-player. So that's a key part of the gameplay. The game ends when the influence points, the victory points, run out. And
the round finishes.
And similar, and then similar to a lot of other games where when the pool ends, you finish. You can score more than what's in the pool.
Yes.
The pool ending isn't like a hard stop. So it's 260 in a 4-player, 200 in a 3-player, and then you said 160 in a 2-player? Okay.
No, because at the end of the game, I scored an additional 6 or so that weren't in the 160, and then end game, I got 12 points from the collection aspect, whatever those things.
3 sets of the full castle build one.
No, not that one. The whoever killed the most Slavs, Prussians, and the Saracens.
Oh yeah,
which that's another thing too. That stays the same no matter how many people you're playing with.
Yeah.
Like
so there's always
Wingspan,
a first and a second.
yeah, which I'm not as big a fan of.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because then it was like one of us is getting 5 and the other one's getting 2.
Yeah.
So really, you're just getting 3 points.
Yeah, as long as you don't tie, I guess.
Yeah.
Eh.
But I got 12 points from those, and then I got 20-something points from Endgame. And for buildings, because I had built 3 level 4 buildings.
Oof.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Most I'd ever done in a 3- and 4-player game was 2.
Yeah. Well, like I said, people aren't getting in your way. You can be like, well, I can move here, attack, and then you can spread out slowly and get the ones that benefit you the most. Whereas like those good ones go quickly when you're playing with more players.
Yeah.
So I had asked about the scores
Uh-huh.
because I've been back to sort of logging,
Yes.
especially review games. I'm trying to have better stats for them. So in my plays, the top score that I saw was in a 3-player game. I scored 104. So you clearly blew that out of the water in a 2-player game.
Yeah.
Highest losing score was 88 in all of my plays. Average winning score was about 92. Average score was 76. So you guys being at, you said 90 something, Jeff?
95.
95
Yeah.
and 100, well over, like
130 something.
Yeah.
130, yeah. Way above the average. Lowest winning score so far was 80. And lowest score period was 60. Which my first play, I got 62. Your first play with us at the Game Lounge, you got like 64, 63?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So low 60s seems like a reasonable like first time learning
Yeah, I would
score,
say 3
and then our-
for 4 players, it's like 60 to 90 is like what the score range is going to be. Because pretty much anytime you do anything, you're getting points for it too. So
Yeah.
it's not like
Pretty much the only thing is upgrade is the only thing you're not getting points for.
that is true.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Which is why it's not always smart to upgrade all the time. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, I
No.
should just upgrade this whole thing. It's like, but you're like literally doing nothing
Yeah.
to upgrade.
yeah,
I mean, it
six,
depends.
It's 6 turns of the game. Like,
Yeah.
I'd almost want to sometime just to dick around, spend my first 6 actions of the game upgrading everything, and then play
Yeah.
and see where that puts you. I don't know.
I
You'd
don't
be
know,
behind,
yeah.
because you wouldn't have any of the buildings or anything out in the immediate area. Would
Well,
be
I
pretty
think
filled in.
I think the upgrades really count when you have the other symbols to go by to help increase it, because then it's like, oh, well, now I have an extra crusade and an extra travel, so if I assign 1 to each, now it's 2.
Yeah.
Versus if you upgrade it but you don't have any extra symbols for it, you're like, okay, now it's 1 and 1, but I don't really want to, like, you
But I
need
can't
to
really do anything with it.
yeah.
Which is the advanced faction that I played as kind
Yeah.
of comes in
Yeah.
nice, because then it's like, I've got 2 on this space that's upgraded, so I assign 1 and 1.
Yep.
My special ability gives me 2 and 2.
Yeah.
And then I have that 1 in each on there. So
Exactly.
now I'm at 3 and 3 with
Yeah.
only 2 tokens on that
Yeah.
space.
Well, and there's even a faction that starts with 3 upgrades as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Which those were nice, especially because you get to choose which one it was.
Yeah.
So, and I played the one where you got 2 extra tokens. So you had 14 tokens, but you were a -1 travel. Honestly, barely registered to me.
Yeah.
At one, like as soon as I got I was like, well, all
The
I
level
need
2 castle.
Yeah, I was like, well, I just should build the level 2 castle. I did that. Now my travel is the same as everybody else's, and I have 2 extra discs to play with, which gave me
a lot of power.
Yeah. I think having, in a lot of cases, just having more tokens just is better than certain powers.
Well, that was the thing I felt playing with that advanced version, that advanced like
Setups.
setup,
Yeah.
whatever role,
Advanced player,
role,
yeah.
was I'm maxed at 6 of something,
Yeah, 'cause you
plus
never-
whatever my bonuses
Yeah.
are, because I only have 6 tokens. So like especially the higher level crusades,
Well,
those
I mean,
get hard.
yeah, and that's how I was able to do. Well, and I also found 2 musters from the Saracens, but that's how I was able to not build any of the farmhouses and max out my mustering, because I was like, I can just let that build time. I'm having enough stuff to do on my other turns that I can let that build up. I literally let it build up to 7 and then just mustered, and then I just spread it all around. So, it's definitely being able to manage those tokens is key in this game,
Yes.
and you need to figure out, just how to use them the best of your ability, I guess. I don't know.
And then you win.
Yeah, that's how you win.
Uh,
Don't suck, and you win. That's what I did.
that's what I did the time I didn't win. I also played against new players.
Yes. Yeah. I played against Jeff, so.
Also good for winning.
Yeah. Yeah. But I would definitely say, like, this is a game that, I remember when Jeff was like 2 turns into the first game he played, and he's like, so this is basically the game, right? And we're like, yep, this is what you do. The entire game, it's like, obviously you get to do more powerful things, but your actions themselves don't really change, except for the upgrades. But even still, it's very
Yeah, from the start,
Yeah.
you're doing 5. There's 5 actions in the game.
Yes.
6 if you include the upgrading, which maybe include. And that's all you're going to do all game. It's what combination you do them and how strong you do them that determines everything.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a fine balance, because one thing that I noticed that comes up a lot, at least for me, in all of my plays, is when I'd be planning for something and I'm like, I want to go Crusade against the Slavs. They're at 4. I have 4, but I'm not in a position to Crusade, so I'll move. That bumps my Crusade to 5. So as long as only one other person attacks them, I can still Crusade. 2 people just attacked. Shit, now they're at 6. I'm still only at 5. What can I do to bump them to 5? Now they're at 6. Oh, somebody else just... And you're like chasing that.
Yes, exactly. You have to be prepared. You have to just plan for what can happen and if that's going to affect it. And
that sounds like something that would it mostly does come up with crusading, but it also comes up with other things like building too. It's like, I want to build, but I'm not in a space to build.
So I want to travel and build.
So I travel, but now then, so a lot of times you find yourself like spending 6 tokens to do something that you only needed 5 to do. And you're like, I know there's room for me to improve.
Oh no, yeah,
tighten up my efficiency.
There are definitely times when I was mustering where I'm like, I couldn't muster those last 2 times, and now I have 2 extra discs for this muster that I don't care about, and it does pain you a little bit just to be like,
there's got to be a way I could have done it better.
Yeah.
I could have done it better.
But it's also something that is only defined, like it's only you, nothing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like nobody else like messed with your Mancala to make it inefficient. It's just like because of how I chose to do all my actions, it is now inefficient. So
that's coming in the expansion, Crusaders 2.
Yeah,
where you can just like start fucking with.
Well, then
I'm going to move your Mancala backwards.
Well, no, then it becomes. I think that they add the dexterity.
Yes,
modulus. You just flick tokens at other tokens, and you just knocks.
Right on. Well, now that we're talking about ridiculous made-up expansions,
I
think that means it's about time to be done with gameplay.
Oh, and there is one thing that they say that will never come up, is that like if you literally can't do anything, you can do a skip turn and distribute one of your tiles.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that means you're like literally out of upgrade abilities.
And you can't do any influence or anything.
Yeah.
So
it's a rare occasion, but it is a thing written into the rules.
And it's one of those, and there's several games that have rules like that are basically like, just so you know, if you do this, you fucked up.
Yes.
You have made wrong decisions.
You're not going to find victory if you take this action.
Once you take this action, you need to start just consigning yourself to playing for not last.
Yes. Yeah. Which, in all the games I've played, I've never seen anybody need to take it because...
No, it's never come up. Not even close.
This is also a game that ramps up its point generation.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the beginning, you're just like, oh, I'm doing this. And then near the end, you're like, all right, on my turn, I get 10 points. All right, on Adrian's turn, he gets 7 points. On Jeff's turn, he gets 12 points from, doing various things. And you're like, okay, well, we just went through fucking almost, 30 plus. And if you only with 3 players, it's 200. So
you just knocked out 10% of the points, right?
Exactly.
Like, boom.
Yeah.
That really stood out to me when I was playing a 3-player game at game night that neither of you were in. And you'd played before with me, Zach, and you came by and you're like, because I'd given you a ride. It was a snowy day, and you looked at it and you were like, wow, you guys only have like 50 points out? Like, you're not even halfway. And then we were done like 40 minutes later.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's got a steep curve.
Yeah. And I do like that it has... I always appreciate it when, for end of game, it's always just like either immediate or you end the round.
Yeah.
I don't... versus like everybody else gets one more turn, because I like it was just like in Splendor, because I always liked it when I was able to be like, well, I'm the last person and I'm going to end the game now, and so you guys can't do anything about it.
Suck it, nerds.
Yeah. So I appreciate that they have that same thing in here of you just need to know who went first, and then it's just like, all right, well, Jeff went first and I end it, so Adrian gets a turn, but Jeff, you're shit out of luck.
Yeah.
So enjoy your 3rd place.
Right on. Let's jump over into some final thoughts then. Jeff, let's start with you. What are your final thoughts on Crusaders?
Final thoughts on Crusaders. I like Crusaders a lot. It is definitely that light, medium game. Some people might not enjoy that as what they're looking for in many games, but this one has really good components with a really good gameplay loop.
Yes.
Lots of different decisions.
Literally.
Yeah. But yes, quite literally. Lots of cool different decisions and paths you can go on. You interact with the board a lot. You don't really interact with other people besides like stealing things out from under them.
Yeah.
Like, oh, thanks for clearing out that spot that had that 3 influence for building a castle that I'm building for free anyways.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy. So there isn't a whole lot of player interaction in the game, but there is blocking, I guess, with building and kind of the race to conquer the most people, I guess.
Gain the most influence, Chef. That's what it's about.
Yes, you're gaining the most influence by fighting, crusading in Eastern Europe, but not quite where the bad stuff happened. The components are really great. You don't need the deluxified version at all. I wouldn't, unless you could find those player boards, I guess. That would be really cool. But I think the deluxified version goes for $120 to $140 or something reselling right now.
Mm-hmm.
Something insane because it's all just reseller market. Lots of cool stuff you can do in the game, and it's quick and cool and great and
so descriptive, Jeff.
It's hard to find anything to really not like about it. Besides that it's lighter than some people like, but I think this is totally fine.
Right on.
It's not an entry-level game.
No.
But it's close.
Like Entry Plus.
Entry Plus.
No.
It's a good introduction to Rondell and Mancala, for sure.
It's like that bathroom in the foyer that it's like you have to get inside first, but that's like right next to you. So
Yeah.
you don't have to go deep to find it.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
That's fine.
For me, it's hard to say how much Crusaders has benefited from the spate of lighter, mediocre games I've been playing lately, where it's like, this is the heaviest game I've reviewed in months, which I don't know if it's quite that bad. But I was very surprised with Crusaders. Playing it, it's got tough decisions about what you do and when, and trying to balance your turns, using that Mancala to get tokens in position to make the actions you want to do better. And there's times where it's like, I really want to do this, but I'm not quite there. What can I do to stall one turn? And is it going to fuck me? And, we talked about in gameplay, a lot of times you'll end up, you can't do something, and then you're spending 2 extra tokens than you needed. And it's like, there's got to be a way to tighten that up. There's got to be something I could have done better. And I really, really like that. That's the kind of decision-making I'm looking for in games. It's easy to teach, which is really nice, especially because this is a game that plays in roughly where it says its time frame is.
And sometimes shorter.
Yeah, the 4-player games for us were not much over an hour. Like, 4-player game with some interesting decisions in under or just over an hour.
And with new players.
Yeah. I really wanted to get a 2-player game in. I didn't have a chance to. I think I tried to get Megan to do it a dozen times, and she's very much like shut down her I'm not learning new games for a while, like, wall, which is frustrating, but whatever. I deal with it. It's nice because then I get to play a bunch of Spirit Island or something. But I wanted to play with 2 players for exactly that reason. I think this could be a game that 2 players could play really quick. I like the tightness of 4 players, though. I like the competition for spaces and getting in each other's ways and having to anticipate 3 other players' turns when it comes to gauging how much strength you need to crusade or where you can build and how far you need to move down into enemy territory to be able to crusade before everybody kills everything around you. It surprised me. It wasn't on my radar at all until we got the review, and even my first play of it, I was going into it very meh and not expecting much. And I've really enjoyed all of my plays of it. I've had a lot of fun with all of them. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I'm digging Crusaders. Zach, what about you? What are your final thoughts?
So some things I liked. The non-deluxified components, I thought they did a really good job with that. I definitely agree with Jeff. You don't have to get the deluxified one if you don't have it. I do really like the Moncala gameplay loop that you were talking about, and the in the rondel. It reminded me of Yokohama, of laying down the things and that let you get stronger things, and so being able to plan for that, it felt like that was a good mix of strategy but tactical things too. I definitely like this game a lot better at 4 than I did at 2, because I do feel that you miss that interactivity with 2 players that you got in 4. It makes things.
It's definitely a different game.
It's different. It's a lot easier to predict what's going to happen when you're just fighting somebody else than versus
because you don't have to worry about 3 other players' turns and in between.
Yeah, and for the most part, it's like, oh, if I'm in this corner, Jeff can't affect me, so I can sort of settle things how I want. Whereas with 4 players, everyone's around everywhere.
Yes.
So you always have to keep that in mind. And so there was a level of tension there that was not in 2. I do like how quick it plays and how quick your actions are. I do like that it has variability for the different, for what you're building, but it's that light variability that doesn't increase replayability for me. So
it doesn't feel like a different game just because that castle
exactly
is there versus that barn being over
it doesn't
there.
Change your entire thing. You're just like, no, whatever. And so I could, once again, I could see myself, if I played this a lot, just getting used to it and then feel like I'm literally going through the motions.
Mm-hmm.
But I did enjoy it. I like how the variable player powers are unique, but not so they all feel balanced.
There wasn't any that felt weird except that advanced one.
Yes,
everything else was pretty light in its variability.
Yes, but I could definitely see how playing they could definitely change your play style, which is nice.
Yeah.
Overall, I liked it. I don't feel the need to own this, but I enjoyed playing it. I think like you're saying, it makes a good, entry level plus sort of game. I'm glad that it plays in the time it does too. It doesn't feel like it overstays its welcome. And I'm in regards to the theme, I'm glad that they abstracted it enough.
Oh God, yeah.
Because I know when I first heard about it, everyone, including sort of putting your hand on your collar sort of shit. It's I don't know about this, but
there's a lot of things I like about, or that I trust Tasty Minstrel to do. Handle controversial themes. I'm not sure I'm there yet. Not because they've done it poorly in the past, but because I haven't seen them do it yet.
Yeah.
And I think that just by abstracting it away that's the way to go for them.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, it's overall I enjoyed it. I think they did a good job with it. It's a very mechanically sound.
Yeah.
So
I am a little concerned with long-term lastingness. That's a good point.
Yeah. I don't know. My thing is that I'm trying to think. As of right now, I couldn't think of anything that would add to that too much without messing with what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it could go like the Power Grid route, where it's just a bunch of new maps, where you're doing similar things with new maps, but then you run into well, what new maps are you doing, and why are you doing those new maps?
Yeah.
And they already, I think, covered about all the variability that the player powers can handle.
Yeah, exactly. Anything else?
Plus move, minus move. Here's an extra character. Here's some free upgrades.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this one can build more. Okay, well,
great.
I feel like they've run the gambit of it without feeling just derivative. So
yeah, cool.
But overall, plus.
Yeah, I'm very positive on it overall as well. I've really enjoyed my plays of it. So that wraps up our final thoughts. Let's hear what our listeners have to say in listener feedback. No emails, but there was at least one BGG response. Probably just the one.
Just the one.
Just the one.
Okay.
All right. This one is from John. To be honest, if it weren't for those big, shiny, chunky game pieces, I doubt I would have given this game a second look. As a lover of longer, meatier games, I have to say that this didn't quite do it for me. After playing it 3 times, I put that big red and white box, sleeve and all, back on my game shelf where, well, it will undoubtedly live for the rest of its days until it's boxed and sold. Overall, not a bad game, just a bit too light for my liking.
I can understand that.
Yeah, especially to be fair, more than one train reference in this guy's
Name.
Avatar, and Train Gamer. So yes, it's definitely not like the 2.23. I'm like, yeah, it's definitely a medium light.
Yep.
At best game.
But I mean, he got the Deluxified edition, so
Yeah.
yeah.
But yes, that's understandable. It's definitely not like if you want to dig your teeth into something, this isn't the game for that.
No.
But if you're like, I want to play an hour with something that gives me good decisions to make, I think this fills that void well.
Yeah,
Decisions that you make that are also all your future decisions are based on what you're doing now. So
it's important, and this is one of those tricky things where like where decision spaces in games get interesting.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't. None of the decisions individually feel as important as like N18XX
yeah.
or other heavy games, and even in the context of medium weight games, they don't feel that important.
Yeah, as well, especially because how quick the decisions you can make are.
But because of the way Moncalas work,
each one builds upon the previous one,
and that's where when you end up spending 2 extra to recruit or something, and you're going, there has to be a way I could have done that better.
Yeah,
I have to have like
you can immediately identify that what you did wrong not necessarily you did it wrong, but
you did something
that
wrong.
you did something wrong.
This was suboptimal.
Yeah,
I am wasting tokens right now.
Yeah,
and that's where the upgrades really get nice because then it's like, oh, I can do recruit for this.
I've made a mess over there, but I can fix it.
Yeah,
I can
before it matters.
Well, or even when it's just upgraded, like I can spend the exact amount I need to crusade here, and then I can just dump the rest into moving to prepare for later turns.
Well, and that's where
they're not wasted.
That's where what I thought was one of the weaker upgrades at first, the build and influence, because I was like, oh, that just gives me influence. I don't care about that right now. But then it's just like, no, that's super good because I can build, and if I even have 1 left, I'm gonna if I invested in influence, gaining and all churches and stuff, then it's like, oh, I build for 4, and then I also get 4 influence too, which may not sound like a lot, but when you're going from 60 to 90 points for an average game score, that can mean the difference. Like
it can really add up.
Yeah. So getting those little things is in being able to plan it right works well.
Indeed.
But it's no 18XX.
No,
it's enjoyable.
Very few things. God damn it. Well, that wraps up our thoughts and our listeners' thoughts. At this point, if you are interested in picking up Crusaders, you're in luck. It's available. You can do so for right around $40, which I feel like for the retail copy with the components it has, the gameplay it has, $40, totally reasonable.
I would definitely agree with that. Yeah.
I don't know if I would personally go out and buy it for $40 even after playing it. Like, I'm glad we got a review copy. I don't know if I would go out personally.
Well, I would say this: if we didn't get a review copy, I don't know if any of us would have given it a look.
Well, I certainly would have, because like I said, before the review copy, I was so not even considering this game. It's way better than I thought it was going into the review. Yeah. But I still, even after playing it, I don't know if I would buy it.
Yes,
I'm glad we have a review copy. Yeah. So it's on the fence.
I would say don't buy the Deluxified.
Yes.
It sounds interesting. $40 is a good deal.
Yes. That I can agree with that. So
going for about 100 plus, I don't know, 100, 115.
Oof. No, thank you.
MSRP was originally 100.
Yeah.
Supposedly for the Deluxified edition that will never hit retail.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I look at it this way, like 100, it's you're like, I paid $30 more for my Yokohama Deluxified one than I would have if I backed it.
Yeah.
Which, considering it was Kickstarter only, I mean, it's not that bad considering.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think this game adds enough with its Deluxified to make it worth that extra $30.
Yeah, it's neat, but not mandatory.
Yeah. Especially when it's just $40 now. So that's a $60 difference between the base game and the after retail.
$60 for player boards and some metal coins.
Yeah. Not worth it.
No.
Especially because I didn't feel like the game, like they were bad. I think they were completely competent.
Absolutely.
So.
Cool. Well, that wraps up the review. So
6 thumbs up.
I think I'd go like a thumb up and a thumb sideways.
Okay.
So we're at like 5.5 thumbs.
Gotcha.
We don't have a rating scale on the show. We should have a rating scale. Why don't we have a rating scale?
We should do it
our own, not a BGG one.
1 to 5 stars. No 0 stars.
And then it fails at 3.5 stars. So
no halves. Only whole stars.
All right, well, it fails at 3 stars. So then it's...
See, but if we do... So then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That gives a middle. I don't like a middle. No lukewarm.
I'm just gonna tell you as a Lyft driver, everything's getting a 5-star. Unless something is fundamentally wrong.
Well, anyway, if you have enjoyed this episode and you would like to give us feedback, or if you have hated this episode and you would like to give us feedback, or you are lukewarm about this episode and you would like to give us feedback.
If you would like to give us feedback.
In other words, if you would like to give us feedback, correct. You can do so. Send us emails.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
Go to our Board Game Geek Guild number 2731, and you can jump on the thread there and give us all kinds of thoughts and feedback there. You can tweet us. I tweet under at MHGameGuys.
I am Zach_MHGG.
I am Jeff_MHGG.
There's actually a comment section on our website, www.milehighgameguys.com, where you can give comments on our episode posts. There's Paulo's Corner on youtube.com/milehighgameguys, where you can go fuck with Paulo and talk about what we've done for episodes.
Yep.
We have facebook.com/milehighgameguys. Basically, whatever thing you want.
We technically have an Instagram.
I don't remember the last time something was uploaded on Instagram, but instagram.com/milehighgameguys. It exists. Patreon.com/milehighgameguys if you want to give us money. All kinds of ways to interact with us and do things with us. The website has show notes, which has links to Slack.
Yeah, and if you donate on the Patreon, you get access to the Patreon chat where we'll actually listen to you.
Yes, that's where we're most likely to pay attention to what you're saying. It's not true. But that is where you're most likely to get random pictures of Jeff in the middle of recording.
You're not wrong.
Or Zach taking pictures of the time
I got
clock.
it at 0 milliseconds. I am proud of that.
Doesn't count as much with the new iPhones where you can
I wasn't even with live. It was not even with live.
Okay. Long story short, plenty of ways to get in touch with us. So thanks everybody for listening. Hopefully you've enjoyed this review and found it useful. Let us know, in all of those different ways that we said to contact us, what you thought of the review. And we look forward to hearing from all of you. Thanks for listening. As always, I have been your host, Adrian.
And I'm still Zach.
And I'm Jeff the Lionheart.
Bye.
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 Punchboard Media,
where we all
bring something
to the table.
Pull up a chair
at punchboardmedia.com.